Chef Norman, the Norman Report.
Well, the news in Los Angeles is that maybe, just maybe, a tipping point has arrived. LA County Sheriff Alex Villanueva is leading an effort to remove homeless people from Venice Beach.
There's a time when you have to call people out and just cut through the BS. This is that moment in history.
Thank God the sheriff is willing to intervene.
Alrighty then. Look, I realize this problem seems incurable, but really nothing is incurable. Difficult, yes, but nothing is impossible. All I know for sure is it's time to take this problem to the drink tank at Orwell's. You were down there this weekend?
I was down there this weekend.
You are our man on the street. What is your report of the situation?
There's a lot of people down there apparently, men and women on the street, doing reporting, photography.
It's the era of citizen journalists, right?
Citizen journalists, like yourself.
Yeah, and like you. I mean, you're functioning as a citizen journalist right now. And when you were there.
I am. Saturday night, there was families back on the boardwalk, and they were enjoying themselves. And
at night? You were there Saturday night?
I was there Saturday afternoon and evening.
Wow.
And
from roughly what time to from when to when?
I was there from 5 to about 8:30.
I see. And people and families were enjoying it just like the good old days. Did they seem to be locals or tourists?
It was very nice to see Venice returning. Now, I was pointed and shown areas that, if you recall, they have little white marks, and you get a permit to sell your wares in that white mark.
Yeah, for the vendors.
Well, of course, all the white marks are obliterated because the tents are over them and the people are living.
Isn't that ironic that they were so strict about limiting the number of vendors, but then the homeless just took it over?
Almost took it over.
There are a lot of activists down there who are very sympathetic to the homeless.
Yes, there are.
And they're, in terms of the institutional power, the person who is most sympathetic is Mike Bonin, the LA City Councilman. And I was leaning towards the sheriff's sentiment, and then I heard Bonin give a speech in City Hall, and I thought it was very moving. Let's give that a listen.
Let's listen to that.
Some of those nights, I slept in my car, and a few of those nights, when my car was in the shop, I slept on the beach. I can't tell you how much turmoil there is in your heart when the sun is setting and you don't know where you can sleep. I cannot describe how demoralizing and dehumanizing and defeating that experience is when you don't know where you're going to sleep. I can't adequately express the combination of shame and frustration and anger and desperation and confusion you feel in that moment. And that's why I keep asking again and again, where can people sleep?
One thing I think we at least should acknowledge is that Bonin, was himself homeless, I think in his 20s, and I think he's sincere. And I'm glad that his point of view is in the mix, but I'm also glad that the sheriff's energy and sense of urgency is in the mix, because what we need to do something now.
I feel so fortunate and blessed to be able to live, what we call a normal life, as opposed to being in this position that they are. I really feel bad for them.
All right, well, since you feel blessed and feel bad for them, while you're hanging out at Orwell's, I want to encourage you, as I always encourage everybody who hangs out here, to try to spend the time talking about solutions. What do you think is...
Well, I'm not well versed in solutions because I just started looking into this subject, even though I've seen it. We've all seen it on the news.
Right.
But I did notice that on Dudley, across the street from Piccolo Piccolo Ristorante, which used to be Piccolo's, now it's closed.
Right.
Across from the Dudley Cafe, where all the teens are hanging out, is a really cool place. The Cadillac Hotel, which used to be a nice little hotel to stay at, has shuttered and opened up as a homeless shelter.
Yeah, well, that's part of that $5 million plan, I think, that the city is putting the homeless people in various motels such as that.
And more properties have to be identified in the Santa Monica area and or surrounding LA area to house. Apparently, the only way to do it is to house these people in these shelters. Now,
But why Santa Monica and Venice? Why not Brentwood and Pacific Palisades?
well, that's a good question, Jeff. I'm pretty sure that there'd be some pushback.
That is what some of the NIMBY crowd are saying. That is their argument. You know, they're saying it's not that we're saying not in our neighborhood so much as we're saying it's disproportionate. And I think that's a fair argument. There's not much. I haven't been there recently, but I'm pretty sure there are either none or very few homeless shelters in Brentwood or Pacific Palisades. Probably
They're on
none.
Sunset, yeah. There's a nice one on Sunset.
Yeah.
You know, what amazes me down in LA when you go around Skid Row is the amount of buildings that are not being used for anything. Huge buildings that are shuttered and not being used. I don't know why that can't happen. More shelter. But here's the problem. If you housed every homeless person in the Los Angeles area, and they were all sitting very nicely and they're all housed, and a new wave of homeless people entered, where are they going to go?
Yeah, well, I think that what I was thinking is mixed-use communities, find large chunks of land, a mix of some properties that are in, already desirable areas, along with large chunks of property that are in not so desirable areas. Not necessarily that they're bad, but maybe there's just not a lot of development around there. And have it structured so that people can stay only a limited amount of time and have some services available within the community, and don't let people sleep in public spaces. I mean, you have to do both of those things. That's where Bonin is coming from. Where are we going to put them is what he's saying.
Well, that's
a
the
fair
question
question.
you kind of posed to me, and I feel the same way. I don't quite know. Now, I'm not as close as Bonin is to the areas and the land and the structures as he is. But the tiny homes thing has been kind of interesting.
Yeah.
The
Well, I
tiny
think
homes.
that is the sort of thing that can solve, problems in particular neighborhoods. You can only, and I'm not against tiny homes. In fact, when I'm saying a mixed-use community, maybe have some tiny homes in this community. What I'm proposing to consider as a game changer is that it's a very, very large amount of property. That's what's needed. Very large developments, and do it on a massive scale. And that's what I think what would morally justify really enforcing that you don't let people sleep in public spaces
Yes.
whether they're sleeping or not, let's say occupy space that's supposed to be shared by everybody.
If you've ever driven to Vegas, and I'm sure you have, there's a lot of unoccupied land in California.
I know. And, I haven't, maybe the dollars don't add up or add up to be too much is really what I'm saying. I mean, obviously cost is an issue, but no matter, the reason I'm thinking big is because every solution I see is already extremely expensive. And if it were run like some hybrid of a commune mixed with a campground, mixed with other types of housing, and one of the elements of a commune is people contribute to it, so I'm not against actually enabling somebody who wants to live off the grid and really doesn't have much ambition. I'm not against them having a relatively comfortable and safe place to be, but maybe make them do a little bit of work in exchange for it, and that could work out, you know. If people have to do some work while they're on the facility, I'm talking about maybe farming, you know, something that has to do with sustaining the community. I don't know what else it could be. What do you think?
I'm with you on that. The large piece of land, the
Many
problem is
yeah.
the beach is such a lure. It's
Yeah.
so, nice climate down there. It's so nice in the evening and the mornings. The mornings are unbelievable. You know, it's the best.
Yeah.
So I know why they're there. And if you push them back out into the valley, or push them into Santa Clarita, or push them down the 15, freeway, they're just going to cut. They're going to go, nah, that's too hot. I got to go back to the beach. So that's why they had the tiny plots of land that they suggested along the beach, if you recall.
Yeah.
But the NIMBY people said, oh no, the beach. People,
Right.
no.
Well, I mean, you're always going to have individual arguments over specific situations. I'm just talking in the big picture. Conceptually, I think it would be fine if you can find a little bit of space around the beach, but you can't turn over the beach in general to homeless people. That's not fair.
No,
And if you have other places where you are providing services that are actually acceptable in the eyes and hearts and minds of most people, then that's what justifies not allowing it at the beach.